All right, we're back. Yes, welcome. I wanted to go live yesterday, but I got a little caught up. So last night I added more material. Anytime I find something that grabs my attention, I include it on the presentation. So it might take a while for me to cover it. So this might be a long stream, maybe. Right? But I'll try not to keep people too long. Okay. Now I got a lot of titles on my channel. A lot of titles to different videos. And I've talked about this before. Most of my videos, I give them a title about something that I talked about before. I just want to get deeper into that. So I just want to get deeper into this. That these mutts don't deserve protection. Because story after story with these mutts, there is some narrative to protect the dog. No matter what the dog has done. No matter who the dog has attacked, it just does not matter. Their agenda always is to protect the dog. Shout out to Ashley Blackburn. And this is sickening, people. I can't explain how infuriated I get. Welcome. Yes, hello to, we got moderators Gling in here. Ban all dogs. Yes, everyone. This is infuriating. When I read about these stories, and no matter how horrendous the attack, there is some effort, some blatant effort to protect the mutt. And it's infuriating. A few stories surfaced this past week. I was heated, burning up after I read these silly stories. But these mutts don't deserve protection. They deserve to be banned, and they deserve to be all euthanized. Completely wiped off the face of the planet. And they never should have been brought into existence to begin with. However, they were brought into existence. Especially if they were made in some type of lab or something. Their origin is a mystery. What we do know is that these are mutants. They have an endless number of mutations. They may have more internally that we don't even know about. So they are an abomination unto the universe itself. The entire universe. Now, as I went over in previous videos, and this is straight from Consumer Product Safety Commission, our laws, our government, you see, here on this channel, we've built a university almost here. These dog nuts, they come here and they learn things they've never even thought about. We have to keep that in mind. A lot of stuff to us is like preaching to the choir, but to newcomers, it's like a whole different world. So we have to try our best to inform these people of how out of line we are with our own laws, with our own sense of morality, justice, and protection. There's no reason we should behave in such a subhuman, primitive way without some segment of the population constantly dedicated to bringing attention to it. Now, according to Consumer Product Safety Commission, in 2012, about 95,000 people suffered injuries that were so serious that they needed to go to an emergency room. 22 families lost a loved one from a trampoline defect, right? And some home insurers, they will not cover, if you got a trampoline, there's a problem. You got to get rid of it before they work with you. Several toys we've gone over that have been banned, pulled from the shelves after only a few injuries. And there's too many to name. I don't know how many of you did your own research, but if you research yourself, there's too many toys to name that have been pulled from the shelves. And this is the embarrassing part, is because these toys are nowhere near as dangerous as mutts, and purchasing these toys is nowhere near as an act of negligence and recklessness as it is to have a mutt, especially these big, vicious mutts. But really, I don't cut any slack for any of them. When you're talking about toddlers and babies, the smallest dogs can even kill, and they have, right? It has happened more than once. So you had these toys that I had not heard of. Magnetics, right? These things would break open and a bunch of little tiny magnet balls would fall out. And some of the kids would eat these little magnet balls. And these things would reconfigure inside the walls of their intestines, right? They would connect with each other through the tissue walls of their intestines, sometimes forming large masses that twist the intestines and cut off blood supply to vital organs. Wow. How many people heard of it? I had never heard of this at all. Right? 3 million of them were removed from the shelves. At least 35 more children had been injured. I don't even think 100 children were injured by this, and it was pulled from the shelves. Numerous toys. 30 infants nearly drowned, okay? And it was pulled from the shelves. None of them drowned. They just came close to drowning. Now you hear these laws and you hear the actions taken against them. You think, okay, well, our government really has our safety in mind, our best interest at heart. No, it has nothing to do with that. They just don't want to get sued. Buckyballs. Never really marketed for children, but children got a hold of them. Got 1,700 children sent to the emergency room. Only 1,700? People, there are more than that in the United States that have to go to the emergency room in 2 days. 2 days. And here over a course of several months, they can't even match 2 days worth of dog terror. Right? We have the laws. There's enough laws on the books. See, it's so illogical to have dogs in society that you can't put them up against the scrutiny of the laws that you have in place. Some amount of common sense had to go into the safety laws that we currently have. Child endangerment laws that we currently have. So if you want to introduce something that's overtly and blatantly dangerous, it's not going to fit in those laws. It will not pass the test. Dogs don't pass the test. You've had a lot more harmless objects, toys, that have been banned based on these laws. So there's no way dogs can be overlooked. Over 100 injuries with the sky dancers. You remember I went over this. The yard darts, or jarts, had the most injuries, if I'm not mistaken. Over 6,000 Americans had to visit the emergency room That's over the course of 8 years. 8 years. Now you talk about dogs, you're talking about like 1,000 people per day. There's no excuse for the presence of dogs. Again, veterinarians, dog behaviorists, I know some of you follow this channel. I challenge any of you to justify the presence of dogs in our society. None of you can do it. Use all the laws you want. None of you can do it. 6,000 Americans, this is not even kids. 6,000 Americans total had to visit the ER. Unbelievable. 81% were 15 or younger, and half were 10 or younger. About 3,000 children. These things were pulled. They were banned. All these, toys and equipment get banned after only a few deaths, few injuries. The mini hammocks, they pulled 3 million of them. Right? The kids would get the rope twisted around their neck, trying to get in or out of the seat. I mean, really? Really? Like I said, trampolines. Listen, the bounce pads sent about 90,000 people to the hospital per year. According to the most recent, sent about 90,000. The bounce pads in a year. Again, keep in mind, we're talking about what? The emergency room. You talk about the emergency room with dogs, you're talking about 800,000 per year. This didn't even reach 100,000. Talking about 90,000. And this is everybody, total. Adults and children. So all these things get banned. But dogs are still here. These numbers are laughable. Because when you compare them to the child sacrificial cult, which is what this is, this is what this is. Let's just call it what it is. Because that's the most important aspect of this dog cult. Like, what's the worst part about it? It has to be the fact that these things mercilessly mutilate the helpless. Even though everything else is bad. Look, the germs, the diseases, the parasites, the contaminated water, this is all very bad as well. The barking, the noise pollution, just the behavior of these mutants, being invasive, stinking, this is bad as well. But the worst impact they have on our society is mutilating our youth. And they do it at a very high rate, a mind-blowingly high rate. Right? We just went over those pathetic numbers with these other toys that have been banned. They've already failed the smell test. Then you come across really 4.7. Now, this is according to the CDC. 4.7 million dog bites each year. Listen, according to the CDC, they include this. And it's believed this estimate is low. Why is it low? Because 3 out of 4 are not reported. They don't always go to the hospital. Dog bites someone, they don't want the dog to be put down. You got to imagine this happens a lot, especially with their protect the dog mentality. That's a problem. Must protect the dog. Dog are in danger. Even though dogs are the only ones carrying out attacks against others, nobody's attacking these mutts. Almost every time you encounter a dog that has been beaten, it was beaten only after it attacked someone. Very few people, in my opinion, just decides to beat on a mutt for no reason. And listen, these dogs that get bitten after they have attacked someone, they do not deserve protection. They should be killed on the spot. Don't waste our tax dollars going through some legal process, dealing with these attorneys, these stupid investigations. You kill them on the spot like every other intelligent creature would do. I mean, no other creature would even have them around. It wouldn't allow them in their territory. Only the stupid human dog nut. I gotta be specific with that from now on too, because I don't want to mix in these dog nuts with the rest of society. I don't care if you are the majority in this country. You're the majority in this country. I don't care. You don't deserve to be considered a member of the civilized world when you invite predators into your society around your youth, especially when you're so helpless. So helpless. According to the CDC, each day over 1,000 citizens need emergency medical care treatment for dog bite injuries. There's people who mustered up the courage to go to the hospital. Again, most people don't even go to the hospital. Just imagine if everybody had to. These mutants are engaged in a full attack against human beings. And human beings are the stupid ones allowing it, purchasing them. You know, paying money on a constant basis to maintain the dog's presence. You got these shots, taking it to the vet, you buying it food. It doesn't end with just purchasing this worthless thing. These people constantly shelling out more money. The entire duration of the dog's life, the dog nut is constantly shelling out money. For what? For a worthless creature that will not outlive you, that will not do anything, will make no contribution to society, will only be a burden on society. And more than anything else, the only deadly, consistent threat to kids under 13. Let me say that again. The only consistent, deadly threat to all kids under 13. Again, over half of all children will be bitten by a dog before they turn 13 here in the United States. Dog bite, dog attack statistics are staggering. Staggering. To the point where it is a national emergency itself. So they don't deserve protection. They deserve attention, but only attention to remove them, eradicate them. That's what they deserve. It's everybody else that needs to be protected from the dogs. What are you talking about? All of this, you know, it infuriates me. All of these rescue groups, it's really more than you can count. As somebody pointed out here on this channel a while ago, there are actually more mutt shelters in the United States than there are homeless shelters for human beings. Right? Homeless shelters, 11,241 as of 2021. However, 10,000 rescue groups and animal sanctuaries in North America, on top of 3,500 brick and mortar animal shelters. So 13,500 for mutts. Only 11,241 for humans. How does that happen? Like I said, this is a population of zombies, sociopaths. I don't know what has caused them to have such little value for life, but it's a real mental issue that they have. You know, and it needs to be corrected. Like if you were to correct that, everything else would fall in place. You wouldn't have to tell them to get rid of these dogs. They automatically do it. It's this low value for life. These are sociopaths. I believe I read an article. Somebody wrote an article about how, you know, America's full of sociopaths. It's people who just don't care about life in general. They're so lowly that the only lives they care about is animal life, dog life. They can't even value something that has value. It's definitely not the dog's life. All right, so these stats are insane, and it's all according to the CDC. So there's just no argument. This is not an argument, right? I'm just making the case. None of you veterinarians, you dog lovers, I don't care who you are, none of you can make a rational, logical argument that would justify dog's presence in this society. Unbelievable stuff. And the vast majority of the victims were attacked by a family dog. Family dog. 80% of dog bites happen at home. Now think about that. Think about that. Why is it a law to keep dogs on a leash? Why do you think that's the law? Right? And it's pretty much the same in every state, almost. You know, you can't just have your dog off leash. Any other animal can be off leash. You don't have to restrain any other animal, just dogs. Why is that? Simple. Dogs are dangerous. Simple as that. They're dangerous. I found this article. Why dogs belong off leash in the outdoors. And this is a popular thing among dog nuts. They really don't like to have their dog on a leash. They want the dogs to roam free. And really, all animals, they're designed to be free. Not designed to be tied to a rope. You know how unnatural that is? For any living organism, especially one with eyes, nose, ears, you know, mammals. For any mammal to live life tied to something. You know how inhumane that is? You these dog nuts always talking about, oh, it's inhumane, don't be cruel. Their culture is founded on inhumane treatment. But this guy wrote this article. I was infuriated. There are a lot of people out here like him. But isn't the dog off leash inside the home? Right? They tell you to keep it on a leash. Why? Mainly to protect people. Dog leashes, right, are used to walk the dog in public places. Having the dog wear a leash is a way of protecting the dog and other persons. I don't know why they keep saying that it's a way to protect the dog. Protect the dog from what? If it's off leash, the dog is not in danger unless it's, so stupid, walk out in front of a car. Everybody else is in trouble if the dog is not being restrained. But they always include the dog. When you look up why people should have a dog on a leash, oh, it's a way to protect the dog. Oh, and other people. In other words, if the dog runs away and bites someone. Okay, so they should be tied and restrained so that they don't attack people. But inside the home, dogs are off leash. So isn't that the most dangerous environment possible? To have a dog in the house? You're trapped. You can't get away. Inside the home is more dangerous than outside the home. So rather than being outside and the mutt's off the leash, you're inside the home. With a mutt off leash, you're in greater danger now. Now, what's your bright idea at this point? To also bring kids inside the home. How dangerous of a situation is that? That might be why most of the dog attack victims were attacked by the family dog. No matter if you raise it or not, an off-leash mutt poses a risk. They're always dangerous at all times. The numbers prove it. So this is an incredible display of endangerment. You have a lethal creature with a very bad attitude, very aggressive. So dangerous, it's illegal to have them off leash outside. But you want to make it legal to bring that same creature inside of a home, and then humans go inside the home and kids are inside the home? Again, these dogs don't pass the smell test. We have enough laws on the books to make these things illegal. Illegal. But with this scenario in mind, isn't it ridiculous that all the adults in the country can think about is protecting the dog? How in the world are dogs in any type of trouble where they need to be protected? No, you need to protect your youth from dogs. And when you don't do that, when you want to protect the image of dogs, you expose your youth to danger in many different ways. Check this out. Most people wouldn't think about this. Check this out.
Little girl attacked by a dog in her front yard in Lowell. The child's family says the dog was not on a leash when it bit her in the face. WBZ's Mike LaCrosse is in Lowell, where they're searching for the owner of that dog tonight.
She didn't cry at all when she was getting the stitches.
It was not on a leash. You know, that's like the ultimate irresponsibility, act of irresponsibility. The dog was not on a leash? Whoa, okay. Well, if it's so important to have them on a leash, why are they allowed to be off leash inside the home? That's why you get all these gruesome stories every week. And you got bloody kids with, their necks ripped out, their faces torn apart. These stories surface constantly. The evidence is right there.
Of that dog tonight.
She didn't cry at all when she was getting the stitches.
8-year-old Soliana has 13 stitches in her face after being attacked by a dog in her own yard.
For her, she's handling it really well, which is surprising because she's very emotional, and she's been strong for me too.
Soliana and her mom, Ashley, spoke with us before they left for the hospital this afternoon.
Her face is infected. It's been draining a lot.
Wow, her face is infected, and she's had drainage.
They're gonna see if she needs antibiotics, and if she does, she'll be admitted.
Ashley says a dark black or brown pit bull bit her daughter in the front yard of their Gorham Street home Tuesday night.
Some guy was walking by, his dog was off the leash, and she ran up to pet him. She got excited, and he must have been...
Oh, did you hear that? The dog ran up, it was off leash, and the child, went up to pet a pit bull that was off leash. How does that happen? That happens by the adults trying to protect the image of dogs, teaching these kids that dogs are friendly, that they are creatures that you should go up and pet. You're free to pet them. They won't harm you. You're not in danger. This comes from protecting the dog. Every time they try to take blame off the dog, that's a way of them protecting the dog. This is what it leads to. We've seen this before. Dogs that have attacked kids after those kids have come up to it to pet it, right? Shout out to Worthless Mutts. I advise you all to listen to the videos on that channel, Worthless Mutts. So this is like a different form of danger. You can unknowingly set your child up to be mutilated simply by projecting dogs as creatures that should be. When you project dogs as kind, as man's best friend, that's a way of protecting these dogs as well, because you're lying. These are deadly predators. They're very aggressive. They're not man's best friend. They're not kids' best friend. And that's another thing they teach to the public. This is dangerous, extremely dangerous. This has to stop. This girl went up to pet this pit bull off leash and got attacked. She was real lucky. She only had 13 stitches in her face. That's a very low number of stitches for a child who's been attacked by a dog, especially a pit bull. They usually have a lot more. So this is unacceptable. And yet, you still have these stupid articles that come out, these stupid stories that are just against our laws themselves. Here, this mutt killed I think she was 7 years old. Killed a child. And the judge refused to put the mutt down. These dog nuts that are judges, that are attorneys, these are dangerous people. I can't believe this lawyer had the nerve to say some of the things he said. I couldn't defend anyone like this. He said, we believe that the whites are entitled to have their dogs back, right? It's this family. Their last name is White. And this is what their attorney said. He said those were service animals to them and emotional support animals. Talking about the same dogs that have killed a child. They are fighting to keep this thing alive. Who does that? What creature on earth does that? There's no creature, no living organism nowhere that can move and see. No mammal nowhere. No insect nowhere. Even insects are not stupid enough to expose their youth to danger. And when something does harm their youth, they're going to try their best to kill it. They're not going to negotiate They're not going to fight to keep it alive. What type of, that's next level stupidity. You have to purposely try to be that stupid. Right? That has to be an agenda that's programmed into you. That's next level stupidity. Nobody, nothing defends that which attacks their youth. Only dog nuts. This is something that only they do. And then what do? Even after the dog kills a child, they do what? They try to protect the dog. Right? Right back to the title of this video. They will proceed to try to protect the dog. The owner of this dog started to lie. He said, no, I told them that no children were allowed to play with the dogs while I'm on vacation. Right? These people went to vacation. And the neighbor said, no, he asked us to play with this dog. Whether he'd be willing to play with the dog and throw a ball for the dogs in their fenced-in backyard during the daytime while the whites were on vacation. And the whites denied it. Said, no, we warned them. No kids are allowed to play with the dogs. So this dog nut started to lie. And it's been proven pretty much because he shared a text exchange with the news people. And it showed a photo of their kids playing with the dogs. And Amanda White replying, thank you guys for playing with them. Thank you guys for playing with them. The text didn't say, oh, what are you doing? I told you not to play with them. No, thank you. They did ask them to play with these deadly mutts. They played with them. The dogs attacked, killed a child. And these people had the nerve to lie to protect the killer, the child killer. It's a shame you have to convince people that they're protecting something that is against them. Dogs are totally against humans. These things, and they're not smart enough to be against humans intentionally. These are impulsive, instinctive, brain-dead vermin. They will attack anything. They don't love, they don't feel nothing. Right? They tell you what you should not do in order to avoid being attacked. And yet every time there is an attack, it is because these mutts just decided to be aggressive and to attack for no reason. And as always, the worthless owner will be there several minutes too late, worthlessly trying to get his mutts off of you. This was an elderly man. This surfaced this week. Elderly man got mutilated by a couple pit bulls. He was lucky. That little skinny man was able to restrain these mutts, especially after they tasted blood. Don't find yourself in a situation like this. Be prepared. Take these mutants out. Yet all they want to talk about is protecting the dog. When every time there is a confrontation between human and dog, the human is on the receiving end of violence. Crazy stuff. I saw this article this week. I think it's recently written, and it infuriated me. I'm always getting infuriated. Couldn't believe they wrote this, because I thought, okay, finally they're about to talk about, what they need to be talking about, protecting our youth from dogs. No, that's off limits. Look at the title: Deep Trauma on Victims and Pets That Survive Dog Attacks. Now the title threw me off. I'm like, okay, here we go. Deep trauma on victims and pets on humans and pets that survive dog attacks. I'm like, okay, well, maybe they'll stick to humans. Maybe they'll put the emphasis on humans. Maybe they'll put the emphasis on the humans that get attacked more than anybody else, which is kids under 13. Recent story of a woman who was killed by a dog brought tears to my eyes. The horror that poor soul suffered in her final moments is unimaginable. And yes, that's another thing. See, I'm going to come back to this. See, the courts take into consideration the severity of the attacks when they want a sentence. We'll come back to that. But like I said, this is the worst way to die. This is a slow, torturous death where you know you're going to die and you're just bleeding out and that dog is munching away. So this woman in this article proceeded to start to babble. I mean, she started babbling right from the door. Right? She starts off talking about a woman who was killed by a dog. Then she says one sentence. Oh, I can't imagine the horror she suffered right before she died. Then she goes into, just over 6 months ago, I had real fear myself when 2 dogs were attacking me and my little dog in my arms. My little dog, Buddy, is gone forever. Do you see how her narrative totally went to protecting the dog? Her little trick is to speak in defense of dogs being attacked by other dogs, right? So she's going to make an article about dogs attacking, but now she wants to make the article about the victims that are dogs rather than the victims that are kids. There's a deep trauma, both physical and psychological, on the victims and pets that survive these attacks. People like myself lose a pet in these circumstances and are left with deep anger and heartache. Of all the stories that have been shared with me when I was speaking out about dogs, the ones where children are involved have affected me the most. So I saw this, I'm like, okay, so maybe she's about to come around, right? She said, of all the stories that have been shared with me when I've been speaking out about dog attacks locally, right? She's been speaking out about dog attacks. The ones where children were involved have affected me the most. So I'm like, okay, she's not crazy. She's not insane. She's about to talk about what she needs to talk about. Then she says, the stories I've heard of children watching their pets being mauled. What? What? I'm thinking she's about to start talking about kids being mauled by dogs. No, she wants to talk about kids watching their pets being mauled. How often does that happen? Huh? Where it's not the kids being attacked, it's a dog that the kid had with them. What is she talking about? She's lying. You ain't heard no stories of no kids watching their pets being mauled. These people are nuts. Yeah. The stories I've heard of children watching their pets being mauled by roaming dogs coming onto their property. Or the boy who was in blah, blah, blah. He's just a child and had to deal with the horror of having his pet ripped from his arms. Are you serious? People, I hate to bore y'all with this, but this is insanity. You have to study every word of these dog nuts. You will see these people are insane. Where does this happen? Of the hundreds of stories I've had to read, articles of dog attacks I've read since I've been on this channel, I've never, ever read a story where a child was spared and some dog that they had with them was being mutilated by an off-leash mutt instead. What is this woman talking about? This is the type of thing that really, really infuriates me. It's like making up a story, all for what? To protect the image of dogs. Oh, every now and then there's a maniac dog, but most of them are okay. So the worst experience is having the ones that's okay that you possess getting mutilated by those rare lunatic dogs. These people are crazy. Other shocking stories were of race horses that were attacked and the poor Shetland pony that was killed by 2 dogs. It doesn't matter how big or small you are. These dogs see you as prey and they will attack to kill. Okay, yeah, that's true. That's true. You see, at some point, these people, they have to face reality. They can't live in denial constantly. Yeah, they will attack and kill. And anything that will see you as prey, attack and kill, no matter how big or small, has no business in our territory. And it has nothing to do with poor owners who need to be more responsible. This was another crazy. Now let me show you. Now we're talking about protecting dogs. This is a serious, serious problem. Serious problem. This surfaced 4 days ago. Right? How many people know about this? Look, this was crazy. When I saw this, I almost lost it. I almost lost it. Right? Oh, I missed. Shout out to. Oh, I missed the super chat. What was that? Cooking with Dog Meat. Shout out to Cooking with Dog Meat. Other day I yelled at a dog owner to put his mutt on a leash, and he actually leashed it. Okay. Oh, that's excellent. Excellent work. Yeah, you stand up to these people. They know the law. They know they shouldn't have their mutt off leash. Tell them. Tell them to put that worthless mutt on a leash. Do not let them have their way. Right? Shout out to the Braided Warrior. Slowly making progress. Yeah, we're slowly making progress. I'll take that. You know? People are waking up. But I could not believe this story. It infuriated me. Rockford man shoots his own dog to save his child. And look, in the title, police find guns and drugs during investigation. Okay. So you got a heroic story here mixed with, oh, but he was a criminal. Right? They couldn't just shed light on the fact that this man saved his child's life. This man shot and killed the dog in an effort to prevent his child from being attacked. And investigators allegedly found a cache of guns and drugs during the investigation. They couldn't even wait. They had to put it in the same sentence, the very first sentence. And then they go on about what? Oh, they're going on about the dead dog, right? Police learned, okay, so this was verified by the police. They witnessed this. The police learned that this man shot and killed the dog after his child had been bitten by the dog. So the police witnessed the child had been attacked. That's not up for debate. They learned that the dog was shot and that the dog had actually attacked the child. And all they want to talk about is the guns and the drugs they found on him. Right away, the media's on board, everybody's on board, protect the dog. During the investigation, police found 8 guns. 2 had been defaced, the serial number, along with ammunition and narcotics. Okay, really, it's hard to find anybody in the world today who don't do some type of drugs. Whether it be opioids, alcohol, you name it. Big deal. I'm quite sure many of those same arresting police officers dabble in a little something every now and then as well. Oh, by the way, marijuana is legal pretty much in almost every state now. So big deal. Isn't the highlight of this story this man saved his child's life? Look, he was charged with what? Aggravated cruelty to an animal. Can you believe that? The police witnessed that the child had been attacked. They saw the mutilated child. They saw he shot the dog, saved this child's life. And they charge him with animal cruelty? Are you serious? How crazy is that? Animal cruelty, right? Wow. The agenda to protect dogs is real, people. And it's powerful. It's very powerful. They really worship these mutants. This is a deity level type of existence for dogs. They get pampered, they get free everything, room and board, food, and they have laws that protect their desire to mutilate people. And dogs, they don't kill or attack for food because they're hungry. They're one of those few animals that just kill to kill for absolutely no reason whatsoever. This is another story that surfaced 3 days ago. Dog kills 16 wallabies at Trinity Beach. Didn't eat them, just killed them for sport. That's next level aggression. Right? Just to kill. That's a type of predator that also tries to establish dominance over other living organisms. I was just listening to a dog behaviorist today talking about how the relationship between a dog and its owner is all about who's dominant over who. And you have to establish yourself as the dominant figure. So dogs is all about, it's not love, it's not, oh, I know them. It's about establishing dominance. And dogs regularly establish dominance within the pack. It's not like there's just an alpha in everybody else. No, there's an alpha and then there's subcategories. Some dogs are over other dogs in the pack. So it's normal for dogs to be aggressive towards the other dogs in the pack. So dogs are not going to come into your family, look at your kids as their brothers and sisters, and function like a human kid. No, they're going to continue to function like a dog. View your kids as pack members, and at some point going to attack your kid. Whether it actually does that or not is irrelevant. You exposing them to that danger is a crime. That is a crime. And you're not worried about protecting your youth. You only want to protect the mutt. June 29th, another recent story. 32 sheep mauled by only what? I think it was only 2 dogs. 2 dogs left 32 sheep dead. These mutts killing for no reason whatsoever. They're not hungry. They just see a living organism and want to kill it. That is the worst type of predator, of creature, period. But even among predators, those are the worst kind to have in your civilization. You think about mountain lions. I'm here in the United States. There are mountain lions around here in the United States. Down in the South, I think they got jaguars down there, South America. Africa, they got lions. Asia, they got tigers. Now, these predators, they mind their business for the most part. That's why we can coexist with them. They live far from us. They stay away from us. Every now and then when a mountain lion finds itself in the city, it's breaking its neck trying to get away from all these humans. I showed you the study where mountain lions run away from the sound of human voices because the researchers were asking, why don't mountain lions attack people more often? Dogs are the total opposite. They don't do like lions and all these other predators and stay in their territory. They infest ours. Do you know that? When there's dogs that are stray, when you are not regulating the dog population and you just have strays, they're not going to go out in the wilderness like lions, tigers, cougars, jaguars. They're not going to live out there with the other animals, prey animals out there as well. No, they're going to infest our territory like roaches. And on top of that, they kill for sport. They attack and maul for sport. They're aggressive to the point where they just establish dominance over other living creatures. None of you dog behaviorists, this is why you don't want to debate me. I'll debate you live. And I won't interrupt you. We'll have a set time. You go for 10 minutes, I'll go for 20 minutes, whatever. You go for a half hour, I go for a half hour. I want to debate one of you, someone with credentials. I've not amassed all this information on this channel for nothing. This is ammunition, right? And you're going to have to deal with me and everybody on this channel, right? Because everything I talk about on this channel, not all of it coming from me independently. I'm getting leads. I'm getting information from other people. So if you can't justify the presence of dogs in this society, why aren't more of you speaking out against their presence here? What are you afraid of? It really bothers me there's not more police officers who openly speak out against the presence of dogs when their job and what is supposed to be their passion is to protect the people. I ain't no police officer. I didn't make no vow. I didn't take no oath to protect the people. Why am I more concerned than the people who doing it for a living? Where are you at? You got kids getting torn apart on a daily basis. Literally. And nobody's speaking out against the presence of these things that kill just to kill, just because they think it's fun. And we even have the most dangerous of all, pit bulls, having breed specific laws removed, giving them more and more freedom. For what? Unbelievable stuff. Now, I think this surfaced this week as well. It's, every week there's something. There's a lot more material than I'm sharing here. Right? Check this out.
Attack in Hickman County left a man with scars that'll last forever. As Alex Cordetti shows us, he's still waiting for a resolution.
I do want to warn you, some of these images are graphic. Months ago, a man in Hickman County was the victim of a brutal dog attack. Now, he says he and his family who witnessed the attack are still waiting for a solution. April 4th, 2021, the day this chilling dispatch call was placed in Hickman County.
Help us, please! Yes, ma'am, I've got people en route to you.
The day Kenny Ingram was attacked by 3 dogs that bit a piece of his face off.
People, look at this man laid up with a piece of rag stuck in a hole in his face. I mean, he is all inebriated, totally incapacitated, a grown man. And we talking about we need to protect the creatures that attacked him, that put him in this condition. That's all people can talk about. Unbelievable.
On Bon Aqua Road. And the day he's thinking about today, 43 stitches later, because the dogs that attacked Ingram are still living close by.
The dogs that attacked him are still free.
I can walk right out on the street within 200 yards of my home, and there they are.
He's still walks out and sees the dogs roaming free off leash. Nobody has come to pick the dogs up. Nothing has happened. This is the Twilight Zone, 100%. Shout out to Missy May. Absolutely disgusting. Dogs have more rights than us humans. I truly believe dog lovers are riddled with mind-controlling parasites. I do not rule that out. How can I? When even the experts admit that there's a lot that they don't know about dogs and their parasites. Nobody can deny that. And we are free to speculate and to hold on to that theory that they infect us with mind-controlling parasites. Scientists themselves come up with numerous theories. That's a part of the scientific process. And y'all can trust, we are scientists over here on this channel. We are dog scientists, right? We have you and your mutts under a microscope. And it's just too much we found that is unacceptable here.
It's been 3 months of, fear of them things getting out. And they have gotten out, I think, 6 times since then.
On April
Gotten out 6 times since the attack. What is going on?
8th, a petition for the destruction of the dogs was filed in court. The owner of the dogs, 28-year-old Macy Steele, was served with that notice on April 21st. She failed to show up in court on April 26th. On May 12th, a destruction order was filed in court demanding Steele make necessary arrangements for the destruction of the dogs. But that order was never originally served to Steele. I contacted the Hickman County.
What? What do you mean? It was never originally served to her. Oh my goodness. Oh, what is going on? Just go to the house and kill the dogs. What's so hard about that? That's not rocket science. Oh, well, we have to serve them this. We have to meet in the courtroom. Why? Why? These things are not citizens. We need to stop. Well, we're treating them better than citizens. Citizens can't do that. I can't just go out and mutilate kids and still be free.
County Sheriff's Office and the Circuit County Clerk discovering an administrative mix-up. Lieutenant Michael Dotto told me normal protocol was not followed with the paperwork. Steele was never served with the order filed in May, possibly delaying the destruction of the dogs. Steele turned herself into authorities and was arrested on June 17th. She was charged with dogs at large and released on her own recognizance. In an update, authorities say the order was served to Steele on Thursday. In the meantime, Ingram only wants one thing.
Right now, I want the dogs gone. That's it. Just get them out of here so we can have peace of mind.
Terrorism. This is domestic terrorism. And no matter what, I don't care what excuses they have, they're bumbling around, procrastinating. Those dogs are still alive. There's no excuse for that. People should have showed up on the spot and put them mutts down. I'm sick of this sense of protection. All these forms of protection they have for these mutants, even after they attack someone. Crazy stories surfaced this week. This was July 1st. 2-year-old bitten by a worthless mutt. Needed 80 stitches. Remember I said 13 was a low number. 80 stitches in the face of a 2-year-old? And this was a short article. They're always like this. They'll make these little short articles, even though this was a horrendous story. Can you imagine what that child's face looked like? 80 stitches? Unbelievable. They learned the bite happened while the child was at a day home. It's at daycare. The owner had not contacted the police or called for an ambulance after the child suffered the bite. People, this child had an injury that required 80 stitches. And this person in their attempt to protect the dog, refused to call the police, refused to call an ambulance. This is someone at a day home center. This is madness. This is straight up insanity. We're giving these people too much rope. It's just not enough of us calling them out. They feel like they have all the freedom in the world to do whatever. How can you not call an ambulance? 80 stitches. That child's face was hanging off, split wide open. That was a horrible gash. And you didn't call the police? How crazy is that? Now it's easy to believe that 3 out of 4 dog bites go unreported when they won't even report something like this. Try to keep that under the wraps. Crazy. This was another one I thought it was pretty crazy. Surfaced this week. Boy need facial reconstruction after a dog attack. Got attacked by 3 pit bulls. He was very lucky. Very lucky to live through that. 3, right? 1 is bad enough. So this is ridiculous, people. This is ridiculous. How many people read about this? This is hard to miss. This was hard to miss. How this could have possibly, this is unbelievable stuff, man. The things that these people go through with these mutts, how is it even possible? They never get enough. They never get fed up. So this woman was getting her eyelashes done. Yeah. Like what? She's getting her eyelashes done. The owner had a dog. And the dog decided to jump up and bite her eyelid off. Bit her eyelid off. And do you know what happened afterwards? The owner of the dog, the woman who was doing her eyelashes, she ended up blocking her on social media. Not returning her calls. She wanted to protect the dog. Knowing full well that mutt needed to be put down. No matter what happens, their goal is to protect the dog. These are some sick criminals. Very sick criminals. You would think that, okay, they understand that there's a problem here. There's a threat or there's a danger with the presence of a dog. You would think that after the dog proves to be a danger, that they would be cooperative. That they would be the first to say, okay, what can I do? How can I help? I got insurance. Or if they don't got insurance, say, hey, I'll pay you whatever. No, these are the least cooperative people, dog owners. And they're the least cooperative after an attack. First thing that go in their mind, I got to get out of here. We saw that other video where the woman got bit in the face and the owner jumped up immediately. I got to get out of here. It's time to go. Man, how can crime like this just go on with nobody talking about it? Unbelievable stuff. So, we understand how flippin' dangerous it is to have a mutt inside of a home with a family. Family that consists of kids. I mean, 1 kid is too many. So this is very, very dangerous. It is clear, it's undeniable that it is child endangerment. Right? And I want a lot of these new dog nuts, that listen to this channel, watch these live streams. We have an ironclad case against the presence of these mutants. And it's based on the laws. I'm not making anything up. It's based on our own laws. Nothing needs to be changed. All we need to do is apply the laws we have in place to dogs. Problem solved. right? You've done your duty as a human being. You've worked to enhance the quality of life for human beings. You've done work that will keep human beings safe and protect your youth. But no, we don't want to do that because we love Rover. Because y'all got mental problems. Y'all just got mental disorders, as simple as that. You get off on power and control. Right? Many of you just haven't. You're just nasty, having intercourse with these things. You're deranged in some way or another. But according to the law, the prosecution for the state needs to prove that you acted with negligence. Some examples of child endangerment negligence are you acted in a way that is reckless or departs from common sense. I dare you dog nuts, especially I want you dog behaviorists. I want someone with certification. I want somebody with credentials to try to argue this case, to justify the presence of dogs in our society and prove that they are not a danger to children, that this is not child endangerment. This, absolutely. Let's not debate about it. Absolutely. This applies to dog nuts. To buy a dog is reckless. To bring it inside the home is reckless. Proceed to treat it like a human is reckless. And it departs from common sense. Your actions are indifferent or in disregard for the life and consequences for the child. You telling me that don't apply to dog ownership? Who got the nerve to make that argument? Who wants to argue that? That directly applies to dog ownership, these dog nuts. Total disregard for the life and consequences for the child. You know full well, this is the thing, these dog nuts, they're conscious of this. It's not in the back of their mind. It's not subconscious. They're fully aware that the danger is there. At any moment, the dog could attack the child. Let me show y'all something. Just to prove my point, just to hammer that point home. Right, I will come back to that. Where is that? Here it is right here. Look at this. Watch this.
Look at your door.
Oh my goodness.
Now, look.
That was pretty good. We might get that $100 from
You watching this?
Here it comes again.
Now, let's bring it back. Let's unpack this. Look at where the mother is right now. This is her feet way over here. Now watch. Look at how fast she walks up to the scene. Okay? Now what's she doing right now? Look at her hand. Huh? Let me see if I can slow this down. I'm going to slow this down. Just a little bit. You see her hand? She's trying to restrain it. Why? Because she knows it's dangerous. Then she wipes the slobber on the baby's face. Look at this. Look, you see her hand again? She's bracing herself to restrain the mutt. What does that tell you? She knows full well the danger. That's why she walked up. That's why she's, look, her brain is trying to function on its own. Her brain's trying to take over. Her brain is trying to fight the brainwashery. Her instincts tell her this thing has no business around the baby, around my human baby.
Here it comes again.
So even, I'm telling you, these dog nuts, it's conscious. It's not subconscious. They know full well
funniest.
that the possibility is there. That at any moment, that dog could start mauling their kids. And what do? They take the chance anyway. It is a conscious act of sacrifice. Conscious. Nothing subconscious about it. This is a child sacrificial cult. So definitely, that was disregard each and every time. All these dog nuts, their own dog, got kids in the house. It's a disregard for the life and consequences for the child. Your actions are unreasonable under the circumstances. And any reasonable person would have foreseen the consequences of their actions on the child. Of course they can foresee it. Her body language told you that they can foresee it. And that's the same body language of every dog nut on this planet. Once the dog goes up to a child, they brace themselves. They get up. All the while, they try to play like it's all good. Oh, good dog, yo. They don't know what's going to happen, but they all know the possibility is there. Your actions are as unreasonable. Under the circumstances, what are the circumstances? This is a predator that kills for sport, for fun, establishes dominance, only knows its self-awareness is based on dominance, whether or not it's dominant over other creatures. That's some dangerous circumstances. You don't play around with creatures like that. And any reasonable person would have foreseen the consequences of their actions. I foresee it. Look, over the next 4 weeks, we're going to have at least 4 mutilations. Now, we all know we're going to see more than that. We're going to read about more than 4 kids who've been attacked. That's the bare minimum. That's unreasonable. We're going to read about at least 8. I'm going to go with 8. Just on kids. Right? Over the next 4 weeks. We can foresee this. As long as dogs are treated the way they are in this society, like family members, we're going to keep hearing about stories like this. When your actions are grossly negligent, look, this is the law, people. It amounts to criminal negligence, which attracts felony charges. So they can be hit with felony charges. Felony child endangerment penalties. Possible imprisonment. 2, 4, 6 years in state prison. Now, pay attention. Pay close attention to this. A fine of more than $10,000. Probation 4 years. Look, California judge can, and often do, however, add enhancement to your sentence for felony charges. What? If the child suffered serious harm. People, virtually every attack against a child, there's some serious damage. It don't get no more serious than dog attacks. Like I said, they inflict the worst injuries to kids. By far. No other entity on the planet inflicts injuries like a mutilation from a dog. And it's usually their face and neck. And they're saying, based on the law, that they're going to take that into consideration. The severity of the injuries. And here you have the worst injuries possible that happen at a greater frequency. There are more of them, far more of them. Yet they're legal and projected as kids' best friend. An additional 3 to 6 years if the defendant inflicted injuries on the child. The exact nature of the injuries and the age of the child will determine just how long the sentence lasts. People, the majority of kids who are attacked are between ages 5 and 9. So these are the very worst attacks. And they happen to kids that are very young. I read one report where they said the majority for a while was 3-year-olds. 3-year-olds. An additional sentence of 4 years if the child died due to your criminal negligence. Man, this is sickening stuff. Now, did you know that the month of April is Child Abuse Prevention Month? How many people knew that? I mean, the insanity does not stop. I did not know that. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month. Also, April is Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Month. So the same month, they supposed to be, worried about the safety of kids. They're also worried about the safety of dogs. How does that work? Which of the two groups are actually in danger? This idea that dogs are abused just because there are people, look, I know that every now and then there's somebody who just get off on beating up a dog or killing a dog. Every now and then, yeah. But I think that's very, very rare. These dogs that they find with injuries, man, these are dogs that attack someone. 9 times out of 10, that dog attacked someone. That's why the majority of those mutts that they find, they attack somebody else after they adopt them out. That's why dogs that come from shelters have the highest attack rates. Right? Because they're adopting out mutts that have already attacked someone. So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about? There should be no Prevention of Cruelty to Dogs Month. For what? But yet they got organizations for the, dog cruelty awareness, ASPCA, whole bunch of different rescue groups. I mean, people with real businesses. They have their vehicles, they have their company on their vehicles. And they go out and they rescue mutts. Have actual organizations. But you're not going to find any organization like that for kids being protected from dogs, being protected from the creature that inflicts the most injuries and the worst injuries. Nothing else attacks kids under 13 but dogs. Nothing else in society. Nothing. And they do it at a very high rate. Over 400,000 a year need to go to the ER. Kids only. 2.5 million kids are bitten. And yet, these things, we have to protect these things. No, we need to eradicate them. Eradicate them. These things do not deserve protection. And we're just talking about safety. Safety. Even if these things were harmless, they have no place in human territory. None whatsoever. Now, look, how many of you know this? Now, many of you probably, you've thrown up. You vomited at some point. I don't know if you were hungry immediately after you vomited, but if you were, somebody would probably tell you not to eat right now. Wait for a little while. This source, UHS.edu, some university, they advise you to take small sips of water after you vomit. Don't eat or drink anything for several hours. Several hours. Just take small sips of water, some ice cubes, and go slow. Start with liquids. But several hours. You're not supposed to eat anything. Allegedly, dogs eat their own vomit because it's seen as a food source. Well, I'm sure it is. But you see, these things vomit is a part of their nature. These are the most disgusting, unclean creatures in existence. Now, according to this source, it's not coming from me. When dog puppies are being weaned, mother dogs will regurgitate food for their young to help them adjust to eating solid foods, right? I've shared that on this channel before. The puppies will lick the mother's face to get the mother to regurgitate, right? So they could eat the mother's vomit. So again, just as a reminder, dog nuts, your dog licks your face, it's begging for food. It's instinct. Has nothing to do with love or affection. They don't love you, they don't feel affection. So these things are so disgusting that they don't wait several hours after they vomit to eat their vomit. To eat, period. They vomit and immediately they're ready to eat again. That's the behavior of a living trash can. Bottom feed, a dumpster. Something that only serves to get rid of carcasses. The lowest of the low type of living creature on the planet. Something that will vomit and not only be prepared to eat again, but will eat its own vomit. Now check out this video. Check out this nasty video with this nasty dog.
I can't say that word unless I can read it. This dog pukes whenever he eats anything cold.
Why did you eat the ice?
That mutt just vomited on the ice.
He doesn't chew his pizza crust very well.
You could use that for bait. Wow. There you have it.
That's today's fishing.
We caught a good one. This little auger's what, $100?
Yep, they're $100 now.
And right here's where it came off the electric auger. But yeah, it doesn't look much worse for the wear. And that little earth magnet did the trick. It went straight down. I thought it might have, you know, if it were much deeper, it could have.
That's what I was worried.
Shifted around.
It curved its way down to the bottom.
Nice catch.
Yep.
Now, did you see that?
Well, be sure to watch.
You see that? This is the owner in this maroon sweatshirt. And he saw that. He saw his dog eating its vomit. Right here. Watch this. Here, let me kill the volume. See? He looked at his dog right then. He knew exactly what was going on. He saw the dog eating that vomit. And what does he do? He turns away. He turns away. Didn't want to say nothing. Right? Check this out.
Well, be sure to watch that video that I put up that shows it getting lost. Not to catch that as well.
It was a little hard finding the hole because it had frozen over. Yeah.
You see that? You see that? You see that? His friend tried to bring attention to it. He was so embarrassed. He tried to play it off. He didn't even want to give it any thought or attention.
It was a little hard finding the hole.
See? Look at his reaction when he saw his friend looking at the dog eating the vomit. This is disgusting. See? He's looking at the dog. His friend's looking at him just like, uh-oh. He's watching this dog do something very disgusting. You know, this is not a good look for something that you know allowed to lick you in your face. Lick anything. Did you kiss? This is a bad look. And the owner is embarrassed. He don't even want to, he don't even want to play it off. He just want to act like, he want to ignore it. He don't even want to pay it any attention whatsoever.
It was a little hard finding the hole because it had frozen over.
See, he points at it, and he just smiles and shakes his head.
It was a little hard finding the hole.
You see, this guy is in shame right now. In shame. Because by nature, as a human, you know that something this disgusting has no business in your home, in your possession, anywhere around you. And when dogs engage in this disgusting behavior, it reminds the owner just how disgusting they themselves are. Right? This guy, he's having fun. He's pointing at, hey, your mutt is eating that vomit that it just threw up. This guy don't even want to acknowledge it. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. Boy, oh, boy. This is sad. Boy, this is sad. This is sad. He does not want to tarnish the dog's image. What is it? Protect the dog. Protect the dog. No, don't protect this dog's image right now. Bring attention to this nastiness. Focus on it. Give it your thought. Ponder over how disgusting this is. And act accordingly. Nothing with this type of behavior, and this is natural behavior, nothing with this type of behavior belongs in human territory. In our homes, in our beds, licking on our face, licking us in the mouth. This is pure nastiness, disgustingness. And it's so sad to see so many beautiful people turn out to be dog nuts who let these nasty creatures lick all over them. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Nothing that's this nasty and disgusting needs to be licking my kids, licking my babies. You know, the instinct required to do something like this, to drink urine as it comes out of another living organism. You know that this thing by nature is extremely disgusting, disease-ridden, riddled with parasites, riddled with deadly bacteria, with all kinds of things. Creatures like this, you don't even get too close to creatures like this. Y'all know that? That's the natural role we're supposed to play. You're not even supposed to get too close, because if you wander into their territory, you're going to step in their feces, and that is contaminated with parasites. Naturally, these creatures are creatures humans should avoid at all costs. Avoid the creatures themselves, avoid their territory. It is a source of illness, sickness, pandemics. I believe the Black Plague was directly connected to the dogs over there at the time. No fleas. They're talking about fleas from rats. Y'all wasn't keeping rats as pets. You was keeping dogs as pets. Dogs. Talk about no rat fleas. And we've seen different afflictions of people. Sepsis, when these people need their limbs amputated. That was part of the Black Plague. They get infected their limbs would rot. We still see traces of it here. This is even with all the tranquilizations and all the medications we doing with them. It's still dripping out the seams. Every now and then, you got an outbreak of the Black Plague. Do you know there was an outbreak of the Black Plague here in the United States? I think it was up there around Colorado. Look it up. It has popped up here already. Why? Because we're still with the same mutts. You don't protect this type of behavior. You expose it, you analyze it, you look at it. For me to ignore this type of nastiness, that would be an act of protecting the dog's image. I am not going to do that. I'm going to put its nastiness on full blast. Something that has disgusting instincts like this. You think you want that to lick on your baby? These things drink urine out of their own body, directly from out of their own body. They'll drink urine directly from out of the body of something else, some other dog, or any other animal. And they'll eat the feces from any other animal. Why are we protecting something like this? This is bad. There's no excuse for this. There's no excuse for this. And I've shown this video. I don't want to show. This is horrible. This is horrible. But you know what? You got new people here. Maybe some new dog nuts. Right? If you're going to do it right. I'm going to show you exactly how disgusting these mutants are that you love so much, that you allow to lick on your face. This is the instinct of a dog. There's no limitations. There's no boundaries. Nothing is too nasty. You think something like that can have shame? No, they have no shame. They can't feel embarrassed. These are vile, the most vile creatures on the planet. And they deserve to be treated as such. I don't like to see these articles pop up every week. Read about this horrible mutilation. And then read about how the dog is being protected. Petitions being formed. That disgusting article where the husky pulled the boy, tried to pull him up under the fence and bit his arm off. And they started a petition so that the dog wouldn't be put down. They wanted to protect the dog. Like, where are the people bringing awareness to the victims? The victims are your kids. No. If you Google any type of phrase, dog attack kids awareness, right? Just awareness. You're going to come up to articles like this. 20 tips to teach your kids. So what are they talking about? Your kids need to do this. They need to behave, right? You need to make sure you know how to approach the dog, how to safely approach a dog, right? Yeah. In other words, it attacked you. It's because you didn't approach it right. Even when they try to or required to speak in defense of their youth, to sound like a protector, their MO is still to protect the dog. How to properly play with the pet. Play with it. Oh, you got attacked because you were not playing with it properly. Each example is them trying to protect the dog's image. Even though every video I show, the dog attacks for absolutely no reason. No reason at all. Here's some tips to minimize the risk. Children being bitten by dogs. Teach the kids that they must ask the owner of the dog for permission before they pet them. There you go. Silly, nasty kid did not ask for permission, and that's why he got mutilated. Never approach a dog that is eating or chewing on a bone. Every example they give is created to protect the dog, to take blame off the dog. You got attacked because you approached it while it was eating. You got attacked because you didn't ask for permission. You got attacked because you woke it. It was sleeping. You woke it up and you frightened it, right? You got attacked because you were playing chase with the dog. You were running too fast. This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable to me. Always supervise young children with dogs, blah, blah, blah. Look, teach your kids basic rules such as not to pick up a dog or pat them on the face. Huh? You got mauled, your child got mauled because they pet the dog on the face, which is exactly what that kid was doing in the previous stream I showed, where he was pulling the dog's ears. He was patting the dog on the face too, and putting his face up to the dog's face, something they tell you not to do. So you got mauled because you pet the dog in the face. Every example. So even when these people try to make an attempt to come up with some type of explanation or solution to protecting kids from dogs, all they can think about is protecting the image of the dog, and to never ever project it as a creature that would maul a child just for sport, just to maul them, just for no reason. Even though we got numerous examples like I showed here earlier, and y'all, you know full well, all of you know full well that this is just 2 stories out of dozens where dogs have attacked cattle or animal life for no reason, just killed to kill. These are the worst types of creatures that you could have in your home, in your territory. We shouldn't even talk about home. That should be viewed as insanity. To bring these in your home, that should be viewed as insanity. You have to be insane. Always ask permission from the owner before, once again, and they already said this. Approach the dog slowly with the back of the hand extended. Oh, well, you got attacked because you approached it too fast and you didn't have your hand extended. So that's human error, human irresponsibility. Nobody taught you that? You're a responsible owner. Not the dog's fault, right? This is insanity. I mean, they are on code with protecting dogs at all costs. This cannot be tolerated. Curl their fingers slow. Allow them to, okay, you didn't curl your fingers. That's why it attacked you. Stroke the dog gently on the chest, shoulders, and chin. Never pat it on the head. Okay, never pat it on the head like that kid in the previous stream was doing. Like we see kids doing all the time. But yet, here's 2 more examples of them trying to protect the dog's image. You got attacked because you didn't stroke it gently and you pat it on the head. Oh, avoid eye contact with the dog. This is a list of how you avoid or protect kids from being attacked by dogs. Or the child made eye contact. It was staring at the dog in the face. Stand still if you're being approached by a strange dog, like that kid was doing in the video I just showed, where he stood perfectly still and was still attacked by this mutt. But once again, these are more examples of it being your fault. Well, you should have stood still and it wouldn't attack you. You got attacked because you squealed. Look, do not squeal, run, or jump. Man, let me tell you something. Let me stop right there because this is starting to infuriate me. Anything that requires I do all of this to avoid being attacked has no business around me. If I see anything like this, it's going to be on and popping. I don't even need to know that this is a dog you're talking about. Whatever it is, this is a very unstable, vicious creature that doesn't deserve to exist. And to bring it inside of a home with kids is child endangerment and insanity. Avoid approaching dogs that are sleeping. See? It's your fault. It was sleep. Always let a dog see you and say, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So this is part of their agenda. And it's complicated. I'm at a loss on how to respond to it. The various ways that they go about trying to protect the dog, it's never ending. It's all in their language. Even when they want to give instructions, they want to subliminally teach you that you are the reason you were attacked. Your child did something that caused the attack, had nothing to do with the dog. So we're basically creating an atmosphere for the dog to attack, right? We're basically encouraging the dogs to attack. With that type of culture combined with these types of laws, they have created a society where dogs have the freedom and are protected. Their desire to maul and mutilate is protected by the laws and the culture. Right? So we have to go at both the culture and the laws in response. Again, this is nothing but me holding civilization up to its own laws. Right? When can we get back to doing that? This is insane stuff to me. Yeah, you have to wonder why more people are not grossed out by dog behavior. Why more people why is it only some people? They see stuff like this and there's no way. They make the decision right then and there. I will never own one of these things. I read an article or a post by somebody here recently. Oh man, I think I misplaced it. Or do I still have it? It was a real good post. They were talking about how dogs are so untouchable and how they never have a desire to touch dogs. Oh, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. And it was so true. It was sad to hear. It was really sad to hear because it just articulated how brainwashed dog nuts are. There's nothing about a dog that naturally makes you want to rub on it. And if you do, there's nothing about a dog that makes you want to continue rubbing on it because they're not responsive to physical affection. They don't understand what a massage is. You rub them. These people rub on these dog nuts as if they believe that the dog appreciates it. Dog don't know what you're doing. They don't need you to rub on them. They don't appreciate that. There's no hope. There's absolutely no hope for these dog nuts. None whatsoever. Unfortunately, there's only going to be a few of them that wake up. It's only a few. The rule is that they stay a dog nut for the rest of their life. So anybody that gives up their dog and is no longer a dog nut, there's always exceptions to the rule. And that won't be the rule. So with that in mind, it will help if other people wake up, people who are not dog nuts to begin with, people who never liked dogs, because this dog nut culture does not receive any pressure, any pushback, none. There should be so many protests. Hopefully there will be in the future. every time a dog attacks a child, there should be an outcry. There should be pressure put on the whole city, right? The law enforcement, everybody, to do something, to not only respond, but to put in place laws to prevent it from happening in the future. If you're not doing that, then you're allowing it to continue happening in the future. That irresponsibility on our part, that is frustrating. It's frustrating to me. There's no steps made to prevent it from happening again. And it's embedded in each article, each story. Oh, a child was mutilated. The dog is under investigation. The end. And even if they euthanize it, well, there are plenty of more that you can go adopt, you can purchase, and the problem continues. So this is a sacrifice that they've made up in their minds that they are going to make. They're going to make. And look, they're not the only group on this planet that make child sacrifices. There are other cults that make child sacrifices. It's been going on for a long time. But this one is out in the open. It's overt. And the laws that they've put in place to protect it are absurd, laughable stuff. And it's an insult to our intelligence to not call it out when they violate our own laws, our very laws. They violate them. This dog nut culture violates the law. So it's not a case where we actually need new laws put in place. It's about putting pressure on the higher ups to enforce the laws that are already in place. Man, this is a Twilight Zone. This is a real Twilight Zone, this dog nut culture. Unreal. I mean, such a Brazil. It's actually never be a fault. Yeah. Let's point at the thing. And this was back in 2013, but that doggone right here. Man. Yeah, like I said, there are a lot of dog attack victims that listen to this channel. That's so crazy. Some of them, they send me messages and they will say that they've never heard anybody speak out against the presence of dogs. Never heard of anybody to do it. So we're behind. This is sad. This has been going on for far too long. And it's getting worse and worse. The dog nuttery is getting worse and worse. So we got to push back right now. Right now. So 100%, you see these dog nuts, they got their dog off leash. Tell them to put that mutt on a leash. Right? And be stern about it. You got the law behind you. That's another thing we need to understand. We really know the laws better than these dog nuts. And we need to start reciting it as we give them instructions. Because they're already being uncivilized and antisocial with these dogs, just having them in their possession. And if you don't show any resistance to that, they're going to go even further. They're going to feel like they got the freedom to do whatever they want. They will get very arrogant. This is a war. I mean, it's like a civil war, this dog nuttery. But I guarantee you they will lose, right? The Crusaders will triumph. I want to thank everyone who joined this stream. And I hope you will join me on the next stream. Thank you all for your support. Hope you have a wonderful day today. there was a dog this morning. I took out the trash this morning. And even when I take out the trash, I have my gun. And there was this dog. There was this guy. He was like behind a bush. And I saw him looking down and reaching down. And I knew this guy has a dog. And so when I get over by the trash dumpster, lo and behold, it's a dog. And he stoops down. He's rubbing on it. He's trying to keep the dog from turning around. He doesn't want the dog to see me. He did not have it on a leash. And I believe he knew that mutt would have tried something. The anxiety, the tension, the level of danger in general that is generated by anything like that has no place in society whatsoever. And the last thing it deserves is protection, is defense. These things are the perpetrators. They always carry out the attack. Dogs always are the ones carrying out the attacks. And there are millions of them each and every year. They don't deserve protection. They deserve to be eradicated. That's what they deserve. So until next time, as we continue with this crusade against these worthless mutants and their enabling owners.